Welcome to, I'm going to call it Hot Mess Monday, Wednesday edition. Our perspective. Uh, I am April. This is Aaron. And we are here to reframe conversations with empathy and humor. Welcome. Today we have us to talk about growing up biracial. And we always like to start the show with Aaron and I sharing our perspectives, which might take a while. So hold on to your hats. But I do have a story. I do have a story because I always have a story. So my boyfriend is Jamaican. He moved here when he was like 6 or something. And and this kind of reminded me when we were talking pre-show. He says when he goes to Jamaica, they don't consider him Jamaican, right? But he's not really American either. So like that odd positioning that you were talking about. That's my Aaron, what is your biracial perspective?
Well, I mean, it's this leans very deeply into our privilege, both, but mostly the being from Las Vegas thing. I think because Vegas is so transient, I feel like we don't see a lot of the normal like conflict that you do in older communities or more established communities. And I may come to find out to be completely wrong. Arlene's gonna school me. But that's, I mean, I've got nothing that
I agree. I agree with the Vegas thing though, because like other people, like now that the world is so big and you can talk to all these other people, dude, I totally think Vegas, growing up in Vegas, it gives us a skewed view of the other society, like what's happening in the world, because we are so like inundated with different races, different religions, different like everything all the time. So it did the deal, but it might be other places. But we have Arlene to share with us the actual perspective. Welcome, Arlene. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm so excited. I'm so glad that you guys said that, because when you guys talking about how it was almost as if you guys were saying like there's a good amount of diversity and culture here in Vegas. And when I had first moved here, it was not like that at all to me. But I'll give you some kind of background about me. My name is Arlene. I am 23. My parents are both. My mom immigrated from Venezuela when she was in her early 20s. So she's European descent, Spanish. And then my dad is from Dominican Republic, so he's Caribbean, Afro-Latino, Spanish. And they met in Miami, which is definitely a cauldron of diversity and culture. Perfect place for them to have met. And then, boom, here I came. So a very pale lady and a very sorry Bobby, a very dark charcoal man. And they got together, and here I came. So growing up in Florida, I was there for like till I was 7, I think. Growing up in Florida was so interesting to me because I went to preschool out there, and the preschool name was even the most Hispanic thing ever. It was called the Lincoln Martin, but it was Lincoln Martin to the Hispanics. That's how they pronounced it. So we would have like snack time and lunchtime, but it wasn't PB&J sandwiches, or little Ritz crackers. They full blown gave us like rice and beans and chicken for lunch. Like we were fed real like Hispanic and Latino foods because we were in an area that was so dominated by Latinos. Like, I don't know if you guys have been in Miami, but a couple years back when my fiance first met my dad, we went to the gas station and they just expect you to know Spanish. Like, Florida is the only place in the United States where your first language is expected to be Spanish and not English. And if you do not speak Spanish, they'll be like, we have to speak English now to accommodate you. So it's so diverse and so big, you know, in culture. There's Puerto Ricans, there's Colombians, Dominicans, all types. And then I moved here, and the only Hispanics you find here are Mexicans and Cubans. That's it. And that's really small compared to the diversity that's in Miami, you know, and not just the Green Valley area, Henderson area. And that's where I went for elementary and middle school. So I was around a lot of Caucasians. So it was kind of a culture shock to me moving here and having to experience that shift from so much diversity and so much of people that I felt represented me, and I kind of felt similar to them. And then coming here and kind of makes you feel like you're at the bottom of the barrel, just being like, oh, they don't look like me, they don't talk like me, they don't even dress like me. Like, my mom's not gonna buy me $100 Uggs to wear to elementary school. I can't do that. So it was just very different for me, for sure.
That's interesting. True too. It's not super diverse like Miami, but Miami's diversity, as you said, is very, like, how do you say diverse but not diverse
It's
at the same
skewed.
time? It's like a
Yeah.
Latin diversity. It's like it's still not diverse because it's all like a different Latin communities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but also diverse within the Latinness.
I get what you're saying. Yes, I get it. It makes like
Thank you.
it's a lot of Hispanics, right? But there's not much of a lot of other things there. You know, we do have some like Haitians and Jamaicans.
I was gonna say there are a lot of Jamaicans there too. So
we
yeah.
have little Haiti. So I mean, there's that.
Melting pot. Just so you know, in preschool we had macaroni cheese and fish stick and corn. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but it does not sound appetizing at all.
So that's what you missed out
Corn
on.
is delightful. How dare you?
Okay, no, I'll give you that because I'll give you that.
It has no nutritional value, people. Corn has
Fish
no
stick?
Yes, fish stick. No, the fish sticks were on top of the corn. And then they came put a line of ketchup. This is what I remember from preschool. A line of ketchup on the fish all together. So it's like corn, fish sticks, and ketchup all together.
Something you eat in prison.
I don't see a difference
macaroni
between preschool and prison.
Here's your chicken. What is this? Like, that's pretty gross. Thank you.
No, you did not. Now I'm sweating. I should have put a shirt on. Oh, okay. Return. When say? Because when did you move out here? How old were you?
I was about 7 years old.
Okay. You the difference. You know what I mean? The differences. Did it take a while, or was it like right away?
I didn't really notice in elementary school as much. You know, we're all pretty small. It wasn't until I got into middle school, because I went to middle school in Green Valley, right there at Greenspun. So anyone who went to Greenspun went to Green Valley High School. So we know what Green Valley high school is like. And Greenspun was like that. It was just the precursor. So because I wasn't really, there wasn't that many, I'd say, like, minorities at Greenspun, I naturally gravitated. I had to kind of gravitate to like the people that did show. So one of my close friends back in middle school, her name was Anjali, and she was mixed. Her mom was white, was black, yes, but she lived with her mom. And so as far as she knew and her self-identity, she mostly leaned towards her mom's side, like the Caucasian side. And that's the biggest thing with being biracial, like what your boyfriend said, you know, you're in the middle of both, but a lot of times they either want you to pick a side or they want you to embrace both sides. And both are possible, but it just depends on you. And she chose her side. She went over to her mom's side, the Caucasian side of her family. And so she looked like me, kind of, you know, and the hair was kind of the same. The only difference was her reality was, you know, my mom only spoke Spanish. for the longest time. She was learning English. She did go out in Miami to community college, and she was learning English. I came from a very Hispanic family, very Hispanic culture. I did not live like an American. There were no sleepovers. There wasn't just going over to someone's house whenever I wanted. So there was also that difference there. And so she'd come to school and she was like the coolest kid ever. She had on all the nicest clothes. And I'm not saying I didn't have the nicest clothes for my mom, because I know she's going to hear it. What do you mean? Mommy, you gave me the best everything. So don't get me wrong. But it was just so different. It was almost like at that age, and because of, but like I told you, I was cracking jokes earlier before we started about, oh, Tom Hardy and Uggs. But that was reality. Like everyone was wearing Tom Hardy and Uggs and the baby fat, sweatsuits. I did have one of those. So at least I was there, But I noticed in middle school the most, because it was just so different. They would talk about things, or I'd get invited to their house and I'd go over, and it's like, whoa, you live in a mansion, standard house.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it's a different world, And so that can be really hard, because like I told you, I had this almost. It was almost like I wanted to look like them. I wanted to be like them. I'm never going to look like them, some of them were in middle school bleaching their arm hairs, like literally bleaching their arm hairs blonde, because they maybe were hairy, but because they were light skinned, they bleached their arm hairs, it looked like they didn't have any arm hairs. Can you imagine if I bleached my arm hairs? How noticeable it would be that I bleached my arm
weird.
And they were like, what grade were we in? They were like 12 and 11 bleaching hairs. Like, that doesn't even make any sense. That wasn't my reality. So it was weird. It was it was very distinct.
It sounds like a lot more culture, like
Definitely.
Culture differences. And the fact that your biracialness is like a lot of a similar culture that you grew up in, and that is very distinctly different from a typical white American culture.
Well, and there would be no bigger gap than Greenspun and Green Valley High, like that area in the Clark County School District. Like that would be the biggest.
Yes.
Yeah. So for those who aren't from Las Vegas, we're just talking like you should know these things. Green Valley is typically I wouldn't even say higher end. It used to be the higher end.
For like when you talk about education and stuff, it's where the higher schools are. Like it's generally It's like the higher end of where people gather with children. Like there are neighborhoods where the rich people live, but those kids go to private school and everything else. So when you talk about the highest end for public education, I would say that's probably where it is.
That is such a better description than I was trying to make. Good job. Good job.
That's why I'm a teacher in Las
Good
Vegas.
job, Aaron. No, he's so right. Yes. We said, kind of the nicer area. Not anymore. It's only around.
Yeah. I live in Henderson now, if that tells you people anything. And I'm a teacher in Las Vegas.
You live in Green Valley too. I mean,
and I do live in Green Valley too. I mean, on the edge, like
it still counts. Look at the zip code. You're still
yeah.
Yes, you're official. I would take it.
Yeah, I'm gonna wear a button. Did you have a question?
It sounds like when you were growing up in Miami that you probably didn't experience much of this, but with people like you said with your friend who had to kind of choose a side. Have you experienced a lot of that over time, of feeling distant even from people that you have ancestry in common with, because it's not consistent, because you have that mixed background?
That's totally the question I was going to ask BTW.
Yeah. Of course, sure, April.
I was.
Yes, I have. That's so. If someone were to ask me right now, which side do you lean towards? I have a side that I lean towards. I lean towards my dad's side, the Dominican side. And it's not just because physically I look more like that side of the family, which does play a part, but it's also because of other reasons. So my mom's side of the family, they all moved. She only has one no, they're actually all here now. They're all in America. Most of them are in Miami, like the Orlando area. And all 90% of her siblings are Mormon. So they came here and converted to Mormonism from Catholicism. and so, and I don't know if you guys know Mormon people, but that's definitely.
We live in Vegas. Yes, we know Mormon people. The show has taken an unexpected turn.
I want to share this on my Facebook page. But the Mormon lifestyle is a very set lifestyle, and there are certain expectations for them. And so my mom does not live by those expectations. My mom lives her life. My mom drinks alcohol. My mom lives a typical non-Mormon life, And so being around them sometimes, and not only are they kind of like, they're all white and pale, but they're also Mormon, so they live differently than me already. Sometimes it's kind of weird, sometimes I already feel like the outsider because I'm kind of like, growing up they call me negrita, which literally means like little brown one. Affectionate way, not in a mean way. Not in a mean way. It was like my nickname because I was literally the little brown person in the family on her side of the family. I think I have 2 other cousins who are about my skin tone. And so there's the skin tone difference, the religious difference, and just everything. And then I was born in America, so I'm an American. So sometimes when I'm around them, it's kind of like, or trying to blend in, or maybe I shouldn't walk around with alcohol at this holiday party because alcohol is looked down upon,
Or even soda.
Yes, and tea and tank tops. So I don't, and so like, but my mom doesn't identify as Mormon. She's not Mormon, and so me and her are perfect. Like, I love my mom. I don't have that. And me being biracial has nothing. It doesn't affect my relationship with my mom at all.
That's good.
But it might affect my relationship with with my cousins. Sometimes on Instagram, I'm like on my weekends, I'm like, woo, cheers to the weekend. I'm sure they probably are, oh, that's kind of, there's a difference there.
Yeah.
So that side of the family, I don't lean towards, but my dad's side, I do. But then when I'm with them, they're all purebred Dominicans. All of them. All my cousins were born in DR. I think like the last 4 or 5 weren't on my dad's side. And so they're all Dominicans. They lived out there. They experienced life out there. They have like the full blood culture. So sometimes when I'm around them and they're cracking jokes, I'm like, what does that even mean? What does that word mean? I don't even know what that Spanish word means. So you're never 100% for either side. You can't.
Yeah.
It's impossible. So yeah, I definitely feel it sometimes.
Interesting. I'm processing.
I'm trying to process the religion thing.
Yeah.
And I was baptized Mormon.
Shut up. What?
Yes, I was baptized. You're like, what? I'm learning all these things.
This gets more and more interesting. I literally have the tea and the tea.
Yes, I was baptized Mormon because my mom worked when she first came here. We lived at my aunt's house. And so my aunt and her family are all Mormon. And my mom worked as a housekeeper. And, Saturdays and Sundays in the industry are not just given as soon as you go in there.
Yeah.
She was a newbie, so she worked on Saturdays and Sundays. And on Sundays, I was 7, 8 when we moved here. I couldn't just stay home. So my aunt took me to church with her. And so they gave me the opportunity. They said, do you want to get baptized? And as far as I had seen from going to church, I got free treats and I got to play games at church and I got to do all the fun things. And I said yes, and I got baptized.
Oh. Well, it's a very family-oriented religion. I mean, I would just like to make this perspective very clear that we are not against Mormonism per se. It has a lot of
not any more than
any
religion.
But that's true. Well, I mean, I guess we learned Satanism is got some positives to it too. So
it does.
You are correct. The Satanism episode?
No. You guys have a Satanism episode?
Yeah, check it out.
Yes. I love things like that. And murder mysteries. So if you by any chance get a murder on here, let me know. I love to listen.
That's what we're looking for next, people. If you happen to be a murderer, please contact.
I'm sure we all know at least one murderer. Oh my goodness.
That's actually true.
Yes. No, serious. I read this post and it was It was saying there are murders out there that just haven't been caught. And then it makes you think how many people are out, like murderers don't go to jail unless they mess up or someone catches them. Like they leave a fingerprint or someone sees them in the act and reports it, like a family member. So if they're really good and don't mess with any of their family, there are murderers out there right now.
It's probably all the people that we don't like at work. I'm just going to guess that if I just had to.
Don't give them a reason to come find us.
There are some students I know who might end up there.
I have a couple for sure.
Just saying. Okay, so with regards to biracialness, because you're a teacher. Oh, she's a teacher, peeps. I don't think we said that. Have you noticed in your own classroom any kind of struggles with kids or anything that stands out to you with regards to race or biracialness?
In regards to race, yes. Biracial, I think I teach kindergarten for like the people listening. I think when it comes to biracial, I like that they notice it at this age. But with race, I have, especially because April and I, we teach at a school that serves low-income families and minority families, you know, Latino families, African-American families, obviously families. But I've noticed that like at least 10 of my kiddos are English learners. So their first language is Spanish. And sometimes I've noticed, you know, during circle time with them, I'm saying something and I feel like I'm on a roll. I'm like, yes, everything's going great. They're getting in their heads. And then I look across and some of my Spanish speakers lost in the sauce, like have no idea what's going on. So then it makes you think. So then I'll translate it to Spanish and then the light bulb goes off and their eyes kind of get back into like, okay, I'm not dumb. I know what's going on. So it's the topic of language and culture while growing up in an American system. They've been at home with Spanish speaking parents and they get thrown into an education system that the first language is English and they're expected to just, hey, I know my English.
Assimilate.
Yes, and it's not that easy. So in that, I have definitely noticed that a lot the past kindergartners. Sometimes it's disheartening, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think that we've done? Well, let's start with schools. What do you think can be done to help thinking about your experience too as you came into a school? You know what I mean?
Jay is literally standing on the wall, just staring at me like this.
I want to go away. Very busy, sir.
Seriously. But schools can do.
Yeah. What do you think school systems can do to help students who are students who come in with cultural differences and or biracial students who are struggling to maybe even connect with either side?
For sure. So when I was in Miami, I did pre-K with mostly Latinos, as you can see. And then when I went into the school system, even though Miami's very big with Latinos, the school system is still American and it's still in English. And so what they used to do is they'd pull me out. So kind of like how we have interventionists come in and pull kids out to work on math skills. They'd pull me out. And as far as I can remember, I can't remember if the school was two stories or one, but I get pulled into a room with other children who are Spanish speakers and we do English classes. Like they teach us English and then they'd push us back into our class and we'd have to follow along and catch up. But I mean, a person that meets me now, they don't assume that I even know Spanish. And because I have been able to just take the English language and English and writing are like, that's my favorite subject in school, which is even weirder, you know, that I didn't even know that. So I feel like the first thing they have to do is introduce those classes into the school system. And I've heard that schools that do have that for their students, that they try to do it 100% English, which means that they don't have teachers. Like I'm assuming the teachers are bilingual, but they don't speak Spanish. They just speak English 100% of the time. I don't agree with that. That's not how I was taught. And I feel like sometimes we expect them to just hear a word and in their head, in their little tiny 5-year-old heads or however old they are, to just know that it means this. And that's not how it works. They sometimes need that Spanish, like the Spanish help in the background. And so if you're only teaching straight English, there are words that those kids are not understanding, and they may never understand until years later when someone really sits down and says, this in English is this in Spanish, and then it makes sense. So let's introduce those English classes in and have a bilingual teacher there with that child, so they don't have those moments of, oh my gosh, I'm dumb. And all it is you just need to translate and tell them cat just means gato. It just means cat. This is what it is in Spanish. Oh, okay, cool. That's it, you know? That's like the first step, I feel like, is helping them learn that the language, taking them and put them in those classes specifically just for that.
Like using their language as a tool versus as something that you need to forget about and just like get. I totally agree with that. I don't know how schools would do it because they can barely handle what they're supposed to do now. But I totally agree that, and not only the language, but even the culture, right? So if you're coming from a different cultural background, or you're coming from a biracial background, which has different cultures, right? Using those differences as tools and almost like instead of the school system have a role in highlighting both sides and helping the students see how their individuality is a power, right? Versus them trying to ignore it. And so then the kid is like trying to fit into whatever culture is there, you know? I think the school could play a powerful role in that.
Oh, definitely. It's definitely a culture shock. This is what I was thinking about this. I was doing one of my parent teacher conferences yesterday, and we started talking about the topic of how we express ourselves to each other physically. Latinos are very close. We're very close-knit family. I know when I first met my fiance, he was so weirded out by my relationship with my mom. You know, he was like, how are you guys so close? Like, why do you guys do all these things together? You know, I can talk to my mom about anything, literally anything. I can call her and tell her the weirdest things. And she'll just be like, oh, cool. Well, guess what? I did that too. It's great. And we're huggers and we're kissers and everything, right? And on the opposite side, his family was not like that. They're not very affectionate. And when I was talking to that parent, she was Latina, and she's like, yeah, I noticed that Americans are they're not very physical in how they love. They're kind of cold, is what she said. Not cold in like a bad way, but like kind of like individuals, kind of like how some cultures, Asian cultures, they're about like family and helping each other. And like when your parents are sick, you take care of them. But like the American way is 18, you're out of the house, you start to fend for yourself. It's survival of the fittest, pretty much. And so I have some kindergartners who come in and they want to touch everyone. They want to hug and they want to just be like, oh my goodness, but you're my friend. And they're like, no, you can't do that. That's not allowed. That's not appropriate. But they came from a home where everyone's like, I love you. Give me a kiss. Let's do this. Let's hold hands. And then they come to school and like, keep your hands to yourself. And now they're thinking, oh my gosh, I did something wrong. Like I'm bad. But they're not bad. They're just the American way in the school system. And even out and about in real life, you know, we don't just PDA or do whatever. So it's also a culture shock in that respect. So you're right. Definitely having to teach them about culture and what's expected of them. So later on down the road, when they do something that's not expected of them, but you didn't tell them the guidelines, they don't think, oh, I'm so dumb. I did this wrong. When no, it's just we didn't specify to you what was expected of you. So that's point to culture for sure.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Can you imagine what's going on in their little heads? Like, I never even thought of that. Cause like, again, we all know how I grew up. And I never thought, like, I was always taught, and I was, you don't just touch people. People have boundaries, right? People have boundaries and like personal boundaries, and you don't cross those boundaries without permission in general, right?
Definitely.
And so it never even crossed my mind that a kid doesn't understand that.
And it seems like like one of those uniquely American challenges, like we talk about, where there's some kind of cultural cohesiveness around the world in areas where, and like you said, in Miami, there's more cultural cohesiveness than there is in Vegas. But I feel like that a lot of the places around the world, you don't see a lot of that challenge. And it's probably not something that's been heavily studied or looked into as education goes, because the world doesn't as much have that problem.
Doesn't have has as
Yeah.
many immigrants,
Yeah.
you mean?
Yeah.
And immigrants with such diverse
Yeah.
cultures, right? So like they could have immigrants, but like that are pretty common because they're like neighboring countries or something.
Yeah, but here there's just so much culture stuff. They don't call it the melting pot anymore. I did an anthropology course like last year, the year before. They don't even call us the melting pot anymore. They call us like a salad.
Yeah.
There's so many toppings and we're all tossed together because we're not just taking pieces of other people's cultures. We're just all experiencing it together. And melting pot made it seem as if, you know, we're accepting these cultures, and well, which we are accepting the cultures, but it's like we accept these cultures and they're in our daily life. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
and
not
they're
becoming
assimilating
homogeneous.
into
That's
the
not-
daily. Yeah, which is not. Which it sounds, I don't know. I was trying to think what sounds better. Like, wouldn't that be nice if we could? But then people will lose their identity, right? Their cultural identity, which nobody wants. And then you get called. We did an episode on what is that when you do something from another
Appropriation.
person's culture? Appropriation.
appropriation.
Then you get called out for culture appropriation if you try to integrate their culture, right? So I guess the melting pot would never work in our current society, but it would be nice if people could just flow. Like gender is very fluid. Why can't culture just be?
I think it should be. I think it should be a fluid. Okay, I agree with cultural appropriation in certain
Instances.
certain scenarios, you know, things like that. But I was on TikTok the other day and I saw this video in China of this whole group of dudes walking through, just walking, and someone was videotaping them, and they were all in Chicano clothing, like they were decked out like they were Chicanos, like, you know, like from LA, looking so cool, like they drove lowriders. And in the comments, I was like, oh, this is so cool, but wait, let me read the comments. And I went, and a bunch of Chicanos were like, this is so cool, like look at them, like this is what it should be about, everyone like being able to participate in
Value.
Yes, and I love that. I think it's so cool. I wish that more, when I tell people, oh, I'm Dominican, like, oh my gosh, and the first thing they think about is bachata. Like we dance bachata. That's a pretty well-known fact that Dominicans dance really good bachata. And they learn how to dance that too. And they go to Hispanic clubs and they dance it, and it just makes you feel like that's so cool.
Like it's growing. Yeah.
Yes. So I think it would be cool. I think it'd be easier for immigrants or people that have been here. Like imagine how mom moved here and they already had her kind of culture around, which they did in Miami, but like all of the United States, she'd probably be like, okay, I feel more not at home yet, but it's making me feel ease up.
Well, and it shows that one, they know about your culture, and two, they're valuing it, right? So as long as it's not in a make fun of kind of way, but I think we just saved the world right now, guys. I'm just saying, like right now,
president. Woo,
like why can't it be like that? Why do we have to get offended over everything because we want to bring attention to self? And it's never the people who are actually like the Chicanos on there were like, this is so cool, blah blah blah, and it's probably like that white dude sitting at home. Yeah, that is like that's cultural appropriation.
What?
White
No,
I just think he's probably white.
No, you're right though with that. It's mostly the people that aren't even in that are a part of that culture or a part of that like group, I'd guess, that are always complaining on social media. And it's like, it's not your problem. If there was a problem, we would all know about it.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a unique struggle for an attempt at sensitivity in white people in America. Like it is a very specific group of people who are trying to be extra sensitive, not like more sensitive, but externally sensitive to things, end up in that situation.
The Karens.
Huh?
It's the Karens.
Yeah, and it's a really, because there's a fundamental difference between something you see like that where they have built their lives around something, like you saw in Japan, and then like having a Halloween costume. If you want to get upset about a Halloween costume, nobody's gonna be really that upset because yeah, sure, it's probably inappropriate, and we can all move on. But to go after people who have
But
adopted,
it's inappropriate.
Some are like, I mean, like, okay, if you think about blackface, obviously.
Oh well, that's culturally.
Yeah, that's what I
inappropriate. It's
mean,
because
yeah.
it has a cultural.
Yeah.
It has a cultural history of inappropriateness,
Yes.
right?
Like,
It's not cultural appropriation. Painting your face black is not cultural
why
appropriation.
do
It's
people think that's even acceptable? Like, I don't understand. Or people that would dress up as black characters from shows and then have to paint their face black. Sir, we know looking at how you're dressed that you are who you're supposed to be. It's all, you know. But I get what you're saying for sure.
but like so that chick. I feel like we're going back to the cultural appropriation episode, and also we're advertising many other episodes. So this is kind of working for me. But remember the chick who had a Japanese
yeah,
dress on, which is called a name that I can't remember. And they were all
Oh, what?
not a it was it's like the traditional like dress up kind of dress, and she wore it to prom.
Like the geisha ones?
Are
Right?
they geisha ones? I don't know.
They walk like this. They walk really slow because they have those little sandals and the socks.
And they're silky.
Yes.
Yeah. So she wore that to prom, and everyone was all up her butt. But it was
Japanese?
no. But like, if she values like she dress and she wore it in an appropriate manner, they usually wear it for special events. It was prom. Like, it's not like she wore a fancy Japanese dress to go mud wrestling or something. You know what I mean? Like, mud wrestling is the first thing that came to me.
it was not. It was not a cartoonish, like stereotypical representation of something.
Oh, did you just put that in
I
chat?
did, and I'm gonna throw it up here on the screen if I can work this out without being.
Oh my god,
massively
because that would be
disruptive.
so cool.
This is gonna sound crazy. This is gonna sound crazy.
Trying to be offensive, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh, I was just a kid. You know, I just wanted to be a geisha, I guess.
yeah. My boyfriend and I have this fight all the time about intention. Like, does the intention behind something matter? Spencer said he lost sound.
I tried to put up the picture, but I screwed it up. I apologize to everybody.
Oh, you lost all the things I said, and they were very good, people. Imagine I said gold. Gold was coming out my mouth.
Wait, I want to see the comments too.
Oh, you can't.
Oh.
I know. It's Aaron's fault.
Wait, no, that's not my fault. That's the reality of life.
We did have a comment. First of all, someone said Japanese love Chicano culture.
The
Yeah,
Japanese love
were
a
those-
lot of external culture.
of
Yeah.
cultures. That
Like,
is
there's
true
a huge
too.
ska scene in Japan too, which is
I wonder why.
they're just better people.
Like-
I like. Yeah, I like the Japanese in people in general. Not to generalize a whole ethnicity. I feel like they're very open to like other things. No,
Cultural penetration.
I would say so.
did you say cultural penetration?
Gross.
That
No.
needs to be an episode. Cultural penetration.
Gosh, I feel like they're definitely open. I feel like if you can go to Japan and you can buy some panties out of a vending machine, you're pretty open in general. Like, come on now. They sell everything in vending machines.
But also, if you're out and about and something happens, I mean, having panties readily available. Like, listen, as you get older, you will understand.
Oh,
And I'm just saying,
Oh man.
it might be nice to have some
Oh,
panties in a
no.
vending machine.
Oh man. Well, guess I need some new underwear.
Where are we at? Are we close here? Nope, no, we got some time.
Okay. So, as Steven asked, have you ever been referred to as Latinx? How do you say that word?
Latinx.
Latinx?
Okay, I'm not as well versed in that as I'd like to say I am or think. But I think what it is, it's kind of like how we have our own thing too. Latinos, when they write Latin, they put the arroba, the at symbol,
Uh-huh.
and it's supposed to signify Latina or Latino. And I think putting the X takes away the gender part, kind of just encompasses all Latinos, like whether it's a woman or a man.
Yeah,
I
it is.
I think that's what it is.
That
But
makes sense.
yeah, most people just honestly, most people think I'm black. Like I was out. They either speak Spanish talking about me if it happens, or they speak English thinking when I'm with my mom. That happened with my mom one time. We were at the grocery store at Walmart of all places, and she was paying, but we were talking in Spanish. The lady behind us goes, "She can't speak English. She's in America."
Shut
And
your face.
my mom knows English. Okay. Like, and she goes, she takes our debit card, and the lady's like, "Yeah, your total is this and that in English." And my mom goes, "I'm paying in debit." And I was like, "Oh, that is so embarrassing for the lady behind us." And she just, you know how their face just drops.
What an idiot.
Yes.
People
Or
are idiots.
in elementary school. So, okay, I went to elementary in Henderson, but I did finish my last 2 years, fourth and fifth grade, over in Paradise, over there close on Eastern and Trop, over there. And so that's where I was first introduced to Mexicans and Cubans for the first time. And so they didn't know I was Hispanic. And one of the kids said something in Spanish, and it was just so mean. And he was talking about me. And I was like, "I know what you said. I speak Spanish." And after that, his whole face dropped. And I actually ended up going to high school with him later on too. And we became good friends.
And now you're dating and you're married and have 3 children.
Right? So I get both sides of the coin, but no one's really ever called me Latin X. I just get like Afro Latina or Hispanic, you know.
I can't lie. I really wish I could speak another language, something like that your mom did. That would be awesome.
She mom. I know you love that. Like she just feels so powerful.
Yes.
Yes, I know in this country, I immigrated from another country speaking Spanish, and now I know my language and your language.
And what do you know?
And there's a good chance they barely know
Like,
English.
Right?
Right? Yes, and
Not to stereotype all Walmart shoppers.
Jesus. Wow.
Sorry, Walmart shoppers.
I was just pointing it out.
But I'm taking a speech pathology class this semester, and they said 70% of like the multilingual. So more people know more than one language than people that don't know more than one language.
But that's because most countries make them learn English. Like in Germany and a lot of European countries, they have required English courses in school.
That's crazy.
That's why most people
a statistic about that, but I forgot it. I don't know. It was in my textbook somewhere.
But fun statistic too. Like I used to teach English to kids in China, and China has shut that. Too many kids are learning English. Yeah, they made a law now that you can only teach during school hours. So kids can't go to after school English learning because they're becoming too knowledgeable. They know too much.
Well, knowledge is power, and it's not to be the conspiracy theory person or anything, but it's why, they don't want us to be knowledgeable here, because it's kind of like with like the okay, not to get political.
Go nuts.
I hate getting
go
political.
for it. Go.
But when you think of like back in segregation and times like that, even when they did have schools for like Black children, they weren't given the same education as the white children, because they were like, if we gave, or why they didn't let slaves read or learn how to read.
Yeah.
Because when you know that, you can use it against them and you can rise up against them. And even now, we live in the age of technology, and people are still, and I blame them for it too. I blame people themselves. If you're ignorant, it's your choice to be ignorant. You have a phone, you have the library. If you don't have technology, you have the library. You have everything all around you. If you have a question, you can look it up and you'll have the answer. Yeah. So power is in our hands, literally. Like I have a laptop and a phone. Then I shouldn't know anything that I want to know.
Yeah. Knowledge is power.
Definitely,
Yeah.
but that's kind of messed up that they did that.
It's China, peeps,
Yeah.
dude. I'm surprised they even let him learn it to begin with. They just wanted them to be the Chinese business people that goes and works with American companies. I think that's probably how it started. And now they're like, you know too much. Ixnay on
That's
that.
wild.
Monique asks.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Really wild.
Sorry. Monique asks, do you ever feel pressure to wear your hair straight? The culture pressure because of pelo malo?
Pelo malo. Okay.
These people speak in Spanish, so I have to say words.
No, I really like this question. My hair's up, so you can't see for Monique, but I have naturally curly hair. People go, "Do you curl your hair every morning?" I literally wake up with just enough time to eat a yogurt and go to work. I don't do that, okay?
And barely sometimes that.
No, seriously, I just wait until lunch. I have curly hair, and mostly because of this is not to be like mean or anything, but mostly because of the European. And so I have quote unquote nice hair. And there's this thing not only within the Caribbeans, like Dominicans, Jamaicans, Cubans, but also African Americans. There's this whole thing of nice hair, bad hair. The whole this is biracial as well. Oh, I want my child to be mixed. I want a light skinned baby to have nice hair. Nice hair, quote unquote, being curly or straight or not nappy.
Yeah.
And all nappy hair is curly hair, but the curls are they're so tight that they just they don't have waves, but they're curly hair. And so with the Dominican side, there's this whole thing where they get their hair straighten their hair. And like my sister, for example, up until she turned to a certain age, I think they just started straightening her hair about like 2 years ago. And what they would do is they'd section her hair, they'd blow dry her hair out, and then put it in braids and put the little balls on them, like the little girls, they have the little, and they do that. And now that she's turning 14 this year, she's 13 now. They straighten her hair, they blow dry it out, and that's how she wears her hair, straight. And straight as if there's a special event like a quinceañera, or if there's a wedding, you need to straighten your hair, because straight hair is good for special events. You want your hair to look nice for a special event. So that creates an internal thing of, oh, well, unless, because if I don't, it's not nice. It's not professional looking. And
I would go rogue on that ish.
Yes, you would think so, but it's such a big thing with Afro Latinos or Africans. They're letting my sister can straighten her hair all she wants, because I don't she go for it, do it, Me, they tell me, I used to get like my mom or someone, for example, like, oh, it's school picture day. And at first I love straightening my hair because people would be shocked seeing me with straight hair. Oh my gosh, your hair is really that long. Your hair's so pretty. But then one day I did it at picture day, and we were taking our club pictures as part of the students. It was called SOUL. What was it? Students of Latin America or something like that. And I was getting ready for my picture, and there's this guy who's a class clown for our grade. And he goes, oh my gosh, you finally showered.
Wow.
My heart dropped. Like, I felt like, really, just even thinking about it now, like, it just makes me feel bad. No, he was Mexican.
Oh,
and I'm like, so on the inside, it makes you feel like, oh, what in the world? Like, so you're going to crack jokes. Like, that's kind of mean, So I stopped straightening my hair. I don't straighten my hair too. It doesn't matter if I have curly hair or if I have kinky hair or if I have whatever hair it is. My hair is good how it is. And everyone's hair is good hair. You're not me that, oh, because your hair doesn't have defined curls, or hair is in an afro all the time, that it's not professional enough for business settings. We live in a time where states are just now using natural hair as appropriate in the workforce.
Legit.
Like, my natural hair is a problem to you.
Isn't that insane?
No. So I don't believe in all that bad hair, good hair stuff. Hair is hair, and as long as you have confidence and you believe in yourself, that's all that matters. Don't let someone tell you that you need to straighten your hair for good events. My hair is good enough to go to a quinceañera and for an interview as well.
Yeah. Well, and there's taking care of any kind of hair. Like, I could wake up, if I just wash my hair and do nothing to it, like, you'd be like, April, did you want to cut away? Like, you know what I mean? So you have to, no matter what kind of hair you have, as long as you like, what is that? Grooming, proper grooming, right? Like,
Yes. Wash your hair and that's it. Just make sure it smells nice and that's it.
but
Like
you don't have to wash it. I don't wash my hair.
I ooh, I'm gonna admit something to you guys. So growing up, I didn't really take good care of my hair because I really didn't need to. I have natural oil, so I don't have to wash my hair all the time, right? But I washed my hair today, and I swear it's the first time I washed my hair in like a month. But my hair doesn't smell or anything, so it's like whatever. But even people are like, oh, you have curly hair. That's so nice. Yeah, it's nice, but I don't take care of it. Like, I don't know what to do with my hair. April, you see me every day at work. If my hair's not in a bun, it's literally just down. Like, I don't do it. And my mom will go, all right, can you put your hair up in a ponytail at least? It's looking a little bit. And I'm like, I'm just lazy.
I don't wash. I condition my hair once a week. And if I bleach my hair, the hair lady has to wash it to stop the activation of the bleach. But I don't wash my hair. You don't need to wash your hair, people. Look it up. It's called the no poo way. So look it up.
I-
No, what is it called?
No, it's called no poo.
Oh, like no shampoo. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like I like that it's no poo. A lot of hair privilege in this room. Because Aaron has no hair.
I wash my hair
In
every
case
day.
Nobody caught
Every day.
that.
With the bar of soap,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you go like this. Yeah, my dad does that too. He gets a soap and he goes like this. He has like a really low haircut, like almost bald, and he just puts soap in his hair, like a bar soap. And he used to be like, that's so weird, but I mean, it's
Yeah, it's
washing his head.
It's just
so-
scalp.
Yeah.
Well, it's not much to speak of.
It's just skin. Steven said a funny thing that I will read because it is funny. He said, I got pissed at the folks in front of me not speaking Klingon. We were at the comic book store, fake nerds. I think, Arlene, aren't you a nerd too?
What? What kind of nerd though?
Yeah, it's a loaded question.
Like, you're
I
into
watch
something.
anime. I like
Yeah.
watching anime, and it's crazy because when I was in high school, friend who he'd make fun of me. Like I was watching Attack on Titan, and I was watching this one anime called Higurashi, which is a horror anime, and I just sit there and watch it during passing period. So I'd watch. And he's like, "You're such a loser. Like, why do you watch anime?" And lo and behold, 2021. Kindergartners, fifth graders, high school, everybody moms is watching anime and loving it, watching Naruto. Like Naruto didn't come out years ago, but we were the losers. What? That doesn't even make any sense.
Oh my gosh.
Discrimination.
I know nothing about anime.
I had one
Kate-
question. I just wanted to get your thoughts on something. I was reading that a while
Oh.
back. Kanye was doing a casting call, and he was requesting multiracial women only. And the article gets into a bunch of things, but what it boiled down to was this American sense of the biracial beauty stereotype. Have you run into that at all? Like people having that expectation of you, or say anything to you, or anything like that?
Yes, the biggest word that you get, mostly because I'm not only mixed race, but different ethnicities, like, or Dominican and Venezuelan, like I get exotic. And so when I met Jay, he was like, oh, wow, you're so exotic. And I went off. I said, I am not a rare animal in the wild. I'm a person. I'm not exotic. And I got so mad. And I'm like, it goes back to children, people wanting mixed children because they have colored eyes or they have curly hair and light skin. And I just feel like that's colorism. Like, imagine hearing and seeing all these mixed women in the back when I was in elementary, middle, and high school, it was a lot of European standards of beauty in social media. Now on social media, it's all mixed race, or women with surgery, but they're mixed race and they have the body, but their face is all done up. And I feel like you're creating standards for future generations of women and men, because light-skinned men are also fetishized as well. And you're making maybe dark-skinned women and men feel like, oh my gosh, look, I can't even compare to what society wants me to look like. And that's not fair. So I feel like it's a fetish. I feel like people fetishize their children. Oh, my child has colored eyes. They fetishize women and men that are light skinned and biracial. And it's not fair to other people that are beautiful shades of brown and black. And I just feel like that just feeds into this whole the social media image that's making girls not like they say that anxiety and depression is so high in youth now. And I can honestly see it because all these unrealistic standards that they have placed on these girls and boys to look up to, it's not realistic. They don't have money for those surgeries. All these celebrities that are famous and look good, they had enough money and get their butts done. That's all it was.
Yeah.
And this whole desire for whiteness, like, or lightness, maybe not whiteness, because then white people want to be dark. Everybody wants what they don't have. But
Yes.
like, I have a friend who is from, I think she's from China. Anyway, she's from an Asian country, and she always is talking about how her parents like said, don't stay out in the sun, your skin is already too dark. Like, she is so light, like people so light, but apparently they have a huge stereotype there, because if your skin is dark, it means you're low socioeconomic because you probably work outside. And so they look for whiteness, in Asian countries, which is crazy to me. I hope like this desire for whiteness like goes away. My boyfriend says the same thing because he's pretty light skinned, and he says it's, first of all, it's easier for him. People look at him very differently. He says what happens is he's more respected by white people, but black people try him, like because he's light skinned. They think he's soft because he's light skinned. Yeah.
That's
Yes.
crazy.
Like, your skin color has anything to do with your fighting ability. Like, you wouldn't know I could fight.
No, they say segregation ended so long ago and racism is gone, and like you said, you hope that it goes away. But when the whole thing with the Black Lives Matters happened, since I tend to I walk around and I look black, I'm totally with the plight. I love people of all skin tones and everything, but my dad told me it's like, no matter what you do, there's always going to be those problems in the world, because it's just life, and it really sucks. So it's like, why does skin tone have anything to do? I've met some of the coolest people who are white and some of the coolest people who are black, and all in between. Yeah, and they're all my friends.
And some of the crappiest people who are white, and some of the crappiest people who are black. Like, people are just like, you would think that we would get over this. Like, I just, if you think you're better than anyone else just because of your skin color, like, I've been thinking about this a lot lately, because I got bored. I'm listening to young adult books, like young adult fiction, and a lot of them try to. What?
Are you on Wattpad? What? Are you reading fan fictions?
I don't know what that is, but I'm really old, Arlene. I don't think you realized that.
If you want young adult fiction, go on Wattpad.
Okay. Well, they talk a lot about that, and it just blows my mind how the color of someone's skin then and especially now makes you think you're any better of a person in any way. It just, like, I can't even comprehend what goes through people's minds. I'm just like, that's how you don't know how to solve a problem, right? We can't solve the problem because it's just so asinine. That's it.
You know what? I just live here, I just go to work and do what I have to do, and that's it. And when people say things, I just brush it off. I love to say things over the internet. And yeah, they've been getting bold in person. But if you think about it, they've always been bold. It's just we weren't recording people.
Oh, yeah. People have always been a-holes.
And especially on the internet, when you have any kind of anonymity at all.
Yeah. Oh, even better. Yeah, they love it because they can be whoever they want. So I don't care. Until the day someone tries me in public, I will keep living my life. It happens. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'll let you know.
I was going to say.
I don't know what I'm going to do. Listen, I do jujitsu, but I don't know. I'm kind of scared to fight. So I don't know.
My daughter got grabbed at school, and she told me about it by a girl. It was very inappropriate. And I said, why didn't you hit her? Like she does jujitsu too. Like, I'm like, why didn't you elbow her in her face? And she's like, I told her, I said, you never know what you're going to do until it happens. You never know what you're gonna do until that. No matter how trained you are, no matter what you think you're gonna do, you never know until it happens. That's why you gotta practice the motion over and
Go into
over.
shock. I think you go into shock, to be honest.
Yeah, she said she didn't know what was happening and she didn't know what to do. I said, well, next time you know,
You
you
gotta
hit
let your
them,
muscle memory
and
take
we'll
over.
come to. Yeah, you elbow them, and I will be there at the school if I need to be.
Why did she grab her?
She not only that, I probably shouldn't be sharing this on TV. Anyway,
On
she
TV.
grabbed and like on TV, whatever, and like nuzzled her neck. Yeah.
So it was a super weird thing.
That's sexual harassment.
Yeah, that's what I told her. That's why I told her to elbow her, and I said next time, elbow her or anyone else who does that to you. Yeah, right.
They're weird. These kids are weird.
A kid she didn't even know. Didn't even know. Yeah.
Ew.
Like elbow her. Anyway, we ended that on a sour note.
I mean, it got weird, but just for the sake of throwing this in, because I'm curious about this now, because I've never been to this place. Have you ever been? Monique wants to know if you've ever been to Tropical Sabor in San Diego, the Dominican restaurant.
No, I haven't.
Have you been to San Diego?
I mean, I've been to San Diego.
Yeah.
Oh, you heard. Gotcha.
No.
I thought you said we.
Yeah, I think
I
I
you said
heard
we.
one
Sorry.
time. What tropical sour? No, I'm gonna write it down though because there's no Dominican places out here to eat.
For
The
real?
closest Dominican is Cuban
Oh.
or Puerto Rican. There's this really good Puerto Rican spot over by Summerlin, and it's so good. It really tastes like you're in Miami. It's awesome. And that's it.
I sadly don't know any of the differences between any of these Latin countries because I am an ignorant.
Own
But
race
also, in my
bias.
defense, I am also ignorant of states in the United States. So it's not just world geography that I don't know. It's also regional geography.
The last time they taught us that was in middle school.
Yeah, middle 7th grade.
So we have GPS now. We don't need geography.
Yeah. I don't. If I need to go to Dominican Republic, I buy a ticket. I don't need to know where
You should. Oh my God, you should know where it is.
it's an island somewhere, like
It's
off of
connected to
Florida.
Haiti.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
There's literally an island like this big. Well, bigger than this. It's not to scale. And right split in the middle, one side of Dominican Republic, and they do not like each other at all because of immigration.
Interesting.
Must be Irish descent. The people there.
Hey,
Irish
my
people
best
famously hate people for being from somewhere else, in the same country, different regions.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
No.
Monique says
I'm
at that
stereotyping.
restaurant, try their sancocho.
Oh, sancocho. Oh my.
Yeah.
Moni, girl, my
She's like, girl, hit me up.
my family has yet to give me the sancocho recipe, so I don't know how to make. Sancocho is Dominican stew, and it is so good. It's like the best ever. My grandma makes the best, and it's just so bomb. But no one gives me the recipes.
Do you taste any ethnic stew? Since I heard about.
Ew. Menudo is so good. April, don't let menudo mess up. Menudo is just it's like the bottom of the barrel. Sorry if you're Mexican, but menudo is just nasty. Like, what is it, tripe or something?
Doesn't
Right?
it have like some kind of meat pieces in
It's
it or
like
something?
the
Lining of the
honeycomb, like the
stomach,
stomach part of like all that.
Oh
Eat
no,
everything. That's a good
Okay.
life philosophy. Eat everything.
Ew. No, don't eat everything because if you eat everything, like if you go to another country and eat everything, you're gonna get parasites.
Eat everything when you know where it comes from.
I got like parasites. I didn't get parasites. I got like a bacterial something in my gut when I went to Cancun with my family, and never mind. And I literally had diarrhea for 2 months, and I still had to work during that. So I was a
2 months?
lifeguard. Yes, and I could just feel it. And you just gotta let it out, man. You just gotta just have a change of clothes with you. It was the worst thing ever. So don't drink water from.
We have learned so much about Arlene in this episode.
And why she's so focused on getting undergarments from vending machines in Japan.
That's true. See, if there had been a vending machine there,
Yeah, you're right. A lot of truth.
I love when things come full circle. I love it.
Like in comedy shows, yes.
Oh.
That was really great. Oh my,
Huh.
I'm an open book, man.
Well, thank you for joining us, Arlene. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for
Yes.
having me. This was so much fun.
Thank you.
Next
So,
week we are
I
we are
learned a
finding
lot.
out what we're doing right now.
I would like to do Wheel of Randomness.
Okay, perfect. That's perfect.
Do you guys have a wheel of randomness, actually?
Yeah, we will have one. It will be ready. It will be ready for
It's-
next week.
Ooh, you should do aliens.
Put it on the list.
I'll add it. I got it. I got a list.
Aliens, because Canada dropped a document a couple months back talking about how aliens are already among us and that they look like humans, but they're aliens. And then someone else, I don't think it was NASA. It was like NASA, but in another country. They said that they have reason to believe that aliens aren't coming from space. They're coming from the ocean. If you do that, let me know.
Okay, now I feel like we need to get an next one.
Yeah, that would be a whole episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for the idea. And all you other people, feel free to ideas out at us anytime.
Yeah, so we'll do a little 15 minutes. We'll spin the wheel, do 15 minutes. So share your topics, anything you want to hear us spout nonsense about, because it's likely what it'll devolve into. Just setting expectations. But so please let us know what you want to hear about. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the things down below. Tell your friends about the podcast, so get everybody in. We can talk about some nonsense next week, and show them to the previous episodes too. We really appreciate it. And I guess, yeah, so next week we'll be doing the Wheel of Randomness, and until then, have meaningful conversations.